All right, man. What's going on? We back up in there like swimwear. But nah, man. Today we're starting a new series, Straight Blades and Hand Grenades, and we got special guest James from Italian Policio Teschi and Jolly Reviews. How you doing, buddy? Oh,
Quite a
I
lineup we
think
have.
okay. Yeah. Sorry, you was muted. I just unmuted you. So,
Okay.
okay.
Excited to be here. I think all three of the films we got here are, they're all some really great films and I think fun ones to talk about. So, it's hard to find people that are talking about these different films. So I'm excited to connect with both of you.
Yeah, man. Yeah, we've kind of planned it out with a couple months, right? Like just trying to find the time. But yeah, it's been a work in progress, man, and glad to have you on the channel, man. And I got his link in the description, so everybody sub up to his channel, check his content out. He's got some great stuff, man. Like he definitely knows the Policio Teschi better than me and Darren, for sure.
oh man, by a mile as well. But yeah, he's also got a podcast. I'm sure James will mind me mentioning. It's called Film to Film that he does with one of his friends. And to see their, his friend's little journey on all these genre films is really good to listen to. But I'm sure we'll give James a chance at the end if he wants to promote any upcoming reviews or podcasts and that as well. But yeah, good to have you, man. Good to have you. I've been looking forward to this one now for, like you say, a couple of months at least.
Yeah.
And it's finally happened.
Yeah, really appreciate it. Yeah, for sure. I mean, like we were talking before the show, and I think for all three of us here, it's really just kind of a labor of love to be able to connect with people from around the world and talk about like these very underseen different genre films, whether they're Gialli or Polizio Teschi.
Definitely, man.
Absolutely, yeah.
And but yeah, all three of these, I gotta admit, I hadn't seen none of these until we did this.
Yeah, same. Yeah.
But I'm not ashamed that I've seen any of them. Like I really love probably two of them, and I like the other one. But and so I guess we can get into it, man. Unless you want to mention anything that you got going on your channel, upcoming.
No, let's get into the films. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
So technically, which would be the one that come out the first?
I think it's the Nightcrawler, right?
Nightcrawler, yeah, okay.
The Fear Over the City, Nightcrawler.
Right, yeah. And it's so confusing with that title as well because of that Maurizio Merli film, which I had already planned to like review because I've never seen that one either. And yeah, we'll get like James if he wants to talk through a brief like synopsis or whatever of this film. But this one completely blew me away. I didn't see how good this was going to be at all, to be honest. I'd probably put it right up there now in my top, say 2 or 3 Teschi films.
Oh,
wow. I haven't seen a lot.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I highly rate this one.
Okay.
It's insane.
Okay.
It's insane.
I like
2 hours of just brilliant.
I like Belmondo though, man. Like this is the first time he's seeing this guy, and I was pretty blown away from his performance. I was like, holy shit, this dude, he's right up there with Merli, in a way.
Did he do well? Literally, he did do all his own stunts, I presume, because you can see
right.
You can tell he's definitely doing those stunts. Yeah, exactly. I mean, I think this film is kind of a nice probably introduction to the Polizio Teschi. I mean, I really like it too. This is one of my personal favorites too, and it's not mentioned as much probably because it's French as opposed to Italian, so you don't hear it mentioned as much as like the Castellari or the Umberto Lenzi films. But I think it's a really great film, and I think it might have a little more polish potentially than those. There's a little bit of like classiness going on. It's a little bit longer. You have the Ennio Morricone score, and yeah, it just feels like they have maybe a little bit bigger budget than some of those Italian ones, which are, feel like they're very homemade films. Sometimes they're just like stealing shots in the street, that sort of thing. I'm sure they were doing some of that here, but you actually have like kind of a bona fide star in Belmondo, who I think kind of helps to because he's very charming in the film. I like him quite a lot in this movie.
Yeah, he's got that macho persona, tough guy, take no shit attitude. Like, I don't need brains. I'm just gonna tough it out, and we're gonna get it done. Like, but I noticed I was looking, man. It was the second biggest film in France in 1975, and the only bigger film than that was The Towering Inferno.
Oh wow!
So
that's crazy. Yeah, I mean, for something that I feel like hardly anyone is talking about.
Yeah, because I mean, damn, I wish I would have seen this, several years ago. But glad I got it, man. It might be my favorite of these three, but it's kind of hard to. We'll talk about it. We'll talk about it. I don't want to blow my load on everything yet. So
it's definitely my favorite. They're all great. I gotta be honest. I think this week is superb selection of films. Like I said as well, it's 2 hours long, but it only feels like half of that, And like you say, that guy, the lead actor, is it Belmonto or whatever?
Belmondo.
He when he's like running around rooftops and you've got the actual backdrop of Paris, you can see the Eiffel Tower. I mean, all that stuff is gold, I think.
That's what I was gonna say too, man. Like, all the locations. That's that's him on top of a train, like a subway train.
Yeah.
Helicopter. He's hanging from a helicopter. Like, what is going on, man? Like, Tom Cruise ain't got nothing on this guy, man.
And the whole time you can tell that all the scenes are littered with tons of people, so it has that kind of like urban density, which I feel like adds to kind of like that danger. The fact that it's not like it looks like some COVID isolation where it's like 2 people doing this. It's actually the streets of Paris, which have all the chaos associated with that going on as well.
Yeah, man. Yeah,
it's insane, some of those scenes. And I don't even know, because I know there's a well-known like stuntman who's seen him through a lot of the all the stunts and that. But man, it doesn't even seem like he had any harness on or something in some of the shots. When he's rolling down the rooftop, and it just blew my mind. It just takes the action film to another level. This did, and I like all the Dirty Harry and all the cops, American cop type films, but this just goes way beyond and above.
Yeah, and it just keeps happening too. I mean, like,
it does.
Once you think they're done, it's all of a sudden like we're going from the rooftop, and then all of a sudden we're on the top of a subway, and the scenes just keep going. I mean, it's not like we're going to just get one shot and we're done. It's just consistent stunts, which are all pretty show stopping. It's like stuff that you would be the climax is just right smack in the middle of like the second act or something like that.
Right, and then the car chases too. I mean, it's damn. I mean, y'all got to check this one out. Anybody like that's checking this out, like Caliber 9's pretty high for me, but it's a different type. It's a way different tone than this one. This I would say like I don't know, man. What's that other action-y one that I didn't really vibe with as much? Darren loved it.
Blazing Magnums, you on about?
Yeah, that one. I wasn't big on that one for whatever reason.
Oh, I love that scene as well.
This one does it, man. It does it right. I don't know what it was about Blazing Magnum, but
is that the one in Montreal?
I think so. And then Shadows, something Shadows in a Room.
That's the one with I'm putting.
Yeah, it's like
Strange Shadows in an Empty Room.
It's like half Polizio, half Jolly. Okay.
Yeah. It is,
yeah. I like that film as well. It's been a while since I've seen it, though. I get all of those titles mixed up, partly because they all have 3 titles, too. So it's hard to just keep it all straight in your head.
Oh, God, absolutely. But what I like about this one is the setup, like the first scene where you got this woman and she's taking this like really like funny phone call. Which we've seen a lot, in different films, but it's done really well and effective in this one. And again, I don't. We're not going to spoil any of the endings to any of these films or whatever, but we'll just go through, some of the scenes. But it sets the film up well. The way she like kind of stumbles like out of the window, and you've got the whole body drop into the floor, and we're not sure what's going on at this point.
It definitely gives me the vibes of the telephone segment in Black Sabbath.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'm. And I think Black Christmas come like a year before. I'm sure they all kind of influenced each other, but the actual killer as well in this, is it Minos? Man, that guy played superbly with the glass eye and everything.
Yeah, I like the. I mean, they went out of their way like to build these characters too, like the whole Greek mythos of what is it, Minos from the Divine Comedy or whatever? Is it Minos? I'm trying to remember.
Yeah, Minos. Yeah.
Yeah, the killer where it's awkward looking. One thing though, like that kind of one thing that kind of put it off a little bit though is like who the killer is. So the way this one does, I don't know if it's I guess you could still say it's a giallo. The audience knows who the killer is pretty early, but nobody else like in the film does, and he's playing with the with what's his name, John Paul or Jean Letelier or whatever his name is.
Yeah,
he's like playing with him, taunting him, kind of in a way, like pushing his luck, like I guess like all these narcissist serial killers would do,
He's kind of this moral avenger, isn't he? Which I love, like the way he just taking out these women for like, and it's never really given why he's doing it. I guess he had some insecurities when he was young, and they may have
something to do with his parents for sure.
Yeah,
because when his mother's on the radio, he starts freaking out. Like,
yeah.
Like it's something to do with his childhood, I'm sure.
He feels like one of the jolly villains crossed with maybe like the villain from Dirty Harry or something like that. I feel like Dirty Harry, you can definitely see that influence kind of from the Belmondo cop character as well as maybe the villain that we have here.
Right, you've got the whole Zodiac thing as well, where he's writing letters in to like newspapers and to the police, and he's basically setting up all these like executions, and he gives them kind of this plan of saying, I'll give you like a body part every time, I do a victim. And then by the end of it all, you'll probably be able to piece together who I am and all that. And that's great. I don't think it hurts the film that we know who the killer is. I think it's such a strong character. And we even got...
It's just done. It's just a little different. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
There is a couple flaws that I found in it. I'm not going to nitpick the film to death. I mean, but it's... one thing I saw that kind of threw me off is like, is there like, are you serious that John wouldn't know who this guy is? Like, you know what I mean? Like he wouldn't put that together earlier in certain scenes.
Right. So when he's in when the killer is in the hospital, it is kind of obvious, but
and his voice too. I mean, shit.
Yeah.
It's not that much difference than the killer on the phone, but.
I mean, you've got people like running around on top of trains and jumping, on top of buildings. So I can pretty much give a bit of disbelief for that, to be honest. Like, it didn't bother me.
Right.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you do make a good point. That is one of like the more interesting aspects or choices that they make in the film. And I mean, they obviously make that choice so they can kind of generate that suspense there. So I can hear what you're saying, Dirk, in terms of like maybe being maybe a little bit less believable there. But I actually enjoy that scene just because I think it's one of the more interesting scenes. They're like, oh, shit, is he actually going to realize that the killer is right there? And I kind of enjoy the feeling that you get from that scene. Yeah.
Yeah, I can see it that way, too. It's just, it's like just my brain, like, picking a film, I try not to do that shit, but it's overall, it's fun-ass film, man. It's damn good.
Yeah, I like the bit with the book as well. He sends them Dante's Inferno.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's like a big clue to who the killer is.
Yeah, because
I mean,
the Minos Greek mythos was like in the Greek mythology or whatever.
right.
Minos was like Zeus's son, and he was like I think he died or something. Then he became the judge of the underworld.
Right, that's where the Avenger type comes in. But getting into like a few of the scenes, I love the one death scene of the older woman. I think she's like a widow, and then you got that coffee maker keeps going off, so she's getting killed.
Yeah,
I
that is
dug that
superb,
shit.
man.
Yeah, that was good.
Yeah, that's like when I really thought this is kind of more like a giallo than anything else. I know, I'd say it's probably 50-50 with a Pisteski.
Except for the fact that that
there's no
it
mystery.
reveals. It reveals.
Right.
Right. So
Yeah.
it shows his hand all the way.
Yeah,
I kept waiting for was there going to be another twist, but I guess on a first time watch, you don't know what to expect. So, but
one of the things that caught my attention on the second viewing, and I don't think I thought about this on the first, is just how kind of intricate and complicated the plot is. It's almost like it's juggling the two storylines with Marcucci trying to catch that other guy with that kind of serial killer plot. Just because, the whole time, the first time I was watching, I was just much more captivated with the serial killer plot. But actually, the Marcucci thing takes up a fair amount of screen time. And I feel like that might be why the 2 hours feels fairly reasonable for this film, just because there's a lot of different plotting things going on. He seems to inadvertently solve like 3 or 4 other crimes as well, which is kind of fun. But I'm curious what you guys thought of kind of those that more complicated plotting that they have here and some of those tangents they went on.
Yeah, the Marcucci angle is pretty good too, because like there's that whole car chase scene, like with where a bystander gets shot, and then they're trying to pin it on the Jean, the detective or whatever, inspector or whatever, and he's got to clear his name, but yeah.
I think the two aspects, like you say, the two crimes going on, or the two, really works for the film because it's very unconventional. This is not a conventional film at all, like giallo or otherwise. And then it kind of keeps you don't know what's going to happen with the two characters. Obviously he's going after the killer. You've got the drug guy as well, or the mafia guy. But I think it does work well. I think, and the 2 hours just flies by, which I know I said earlier. It completely just flies by. Some of the scenes as well, you've got to say, with the train, the hostage scene at the end as well, which won't give too much away. But what both you guys, give us some of your favorite scenes like in this.
Oh man,
I know there's quite a few, I would imagine, but
let's see. It's definitely the car chase, them banging the shooting and banging out the glass, and the dude gets shot in the head, and then he's got to take the wheel while he's driving. He's still
crazy.
I love that shit, man. I was
hell
yeah, that's probably one of the standouts, and of course the helicopter scene. I mean, that's just brilliant, and the train scene.
Insane. Yeah,
I mean, holy shit, there's so many, man. And it's but I hope I didn't steal them all.
No, I mean those are pretty much my favorites too. I mean, any time Belmondo is doing some sort of stunt, I love him just kind of hanging off the building. He seems to love to swing through glass and just immediately take on these different suspects too. And I like how it just kind of segues into we're going to go from this thing and we're still on foot and we're going to jump in cars. We're going to just keep transitioning to different forms of transit. It reminds me a little bit of French Connection in that way, except I think I like the action maybe a little bit even more than that. Although no, French Connection is really, really fantastic. Chase. Yeah. So I mean, you're really picking amongst greats at this point. But yeah, I love anything with Belmondo. And one name that I do want to mention too, and this is one of those names where it's behind the scenes. So unless you know his name, you're probably not going to necessarily know who he is. But Julien Remy, who is just responsible for pretty much a ton of the different amazing car stunts that are happening in the Plitsioteskis and things. And I was just watching this film. I was like, okay, is this guy involved? I bet he was involved. And I looked it up. And of course, his name was definitely involved in like some of those car chase scenes. And he'd go on to work in, I think he worked on some of the Bond films later on, or something like that. So he went on to kind of bigger budget things. But he's certainly a name to look out for if you're a fan of kind of like these action-oriented European films from like the 1970s, particularly with cars.
Yeah, man. Because I mean, look at today's films. They're not doing that. You know, like they can do whatever they want with a green screen. So it's just whole different level.
Right. So I got to mention the one scene, right? So, and I'm not going to give too much away, but it's the last victim towards the end. And it's a cinema scene outside, you know, she's kind of like a porno star, I believe. Perverse Pauline like poster up on, and this Minos just goes crazy, man. But
it is France, right? They're in France, so.
Right. I was wondering. I didn't get a chance to actually dig deep on that. Do you know if that's a real like film that was on the poster? It's like Camera Suite is supposed to be the you know.
I thought it was odd though with the kid running around. Like,
you
know what I mean? Like,
right.
They probably don't think it's odd, you know. Whatever.
I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised if that was a real film or something, you know. I don't know. I can't remember offhand if that's the actual actress was in that poster. That probably would have given it away a little bit. But I love all that stuff with the hand grenade. You know, the whole people trying to flee and all that.
The bomb setup, like
the whole hostage thing at the end is superb as well. It
the
brings
glass
it to,
eye,
like,
the glass eye, on the
yeah.
rooftop when it comes sliding down, and he don't know what it is, but he tries to catch it, and it just shatters. And but yeah, man,
you've got the whole.
It doesn't have a lot going. Thinking back on the film, so
it's an amazing. Yeah,
if I see it, I mean, I could probably watch this once a year. This could be like a once a year watch kind of deal.
I think this would be one I'll try and get everyone to watch that I know.
Is there a good release of this that y'all know of?
Bootleg, but I did order the DVD because what I did I went online last night on Amazon and there's a French DVD, but it's got an English soundtrack as well. Because I don't know what you guys version you've seen, but the bootleg to this is just like a DVD, like a really good DVD quality. I was shocked. I was expecting, you know, a grainy kind of, you know, bootleg type thing. But it looks fantastic. So, you know, I would recommend because I got lucky. I got the used DVD last night for like £3 UK money. So I don't know. I was just floored when I seen it was only that price, you know.
Okay.
But yeah, did you guys both see it obviously on a bootleg or on site online or whatever?
Yeah, I saw it online.
Yeah, I got it.
I would imagine. Yeah. Sorry, James. Go on.
Oh, I was gonna say, yeah, I got it from kind of a legal adjacent mean as well, and the print of it was pretty good, I would say. I don't know if it was like HD quality, but it was pretty solid.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. One more scene as well I want to mention is the scene with the nurse, which is so off the wall, man. When like Minos turns up, you know, and like you say, it's hard to not realize who he is, but then she's really awkward towards, you know, the detective, but all of a sudden, just one thing, she changes. Like she's about to have sex with him and that, which is kind of strange, but yeah, I mean, I loved all that, and obviously
she's like, you know, that's pretty close to reality. Like a woman giving a man shit like that, there's probably a reason.
Loving him type thing, yeah.
But no, man. I don't know what else to say about it, man. I couldn't find like as much information as y'all have on the film. I could just speak from what I saw, you know. But yeah.
I did read that is it Alberto Maria Malerli? I can't say that properly, but he plays Valdek. He was in Dario Argento's The Card Player. I was reading.
I saw that. It's been a while since I've seen The Card Player, so I don't remember.
I can't replace him either in it, so I'm going to go back and watch that at some point.
Darren loves The Card Player. I can't.
I do actually like it. The only thing I dislike about the card player is the ending. It's awful with the whole pregnancy thing.
Yeah.
And on the train tracks as well, it's like perils of
it looks like it reminds me of like a Looney Tunes cartoon.
Yeah.
Like the Coyote shit,
I love the music. I love all the music and the killings and all that with the poker game. I really do.
I'm pretty lukewarm on that film. It's okay. I didn't hate it, but
also I didn't like. I'm not gonna go on a tangent about the card player, but I don't like how like all the kills are off screen and they're over the internet. Like that just took me out of the shit. Like I don't know.
Don't you like that soundtrack though? I mean, it's so catchy,
man. But like the kills, though, you know what I mean? Like you can't see nothing. Like, and it's on the internet, and like it's just.
Yeah, they're playing like. Isn't it just like? It's like 5-car stud or something like that. It's
yeah.
That film cracked me up.
I was going to say as well, James, are you on some kind of time limit? Have you got to stay for a certain amount of time?
I told my wife I'd be done in at around 9 Eastern. I'm on Pacific time, but yeah, 9 Eastern. So that gives us an hour and a half. So I think that should be a good.
Oh no, yeah. Because I was going to ask you, like, just briefly, if I know we're going to kind of go off topic now and again, but
sure.
What's your thoughts on the later Dario Argento films? And by the ones I mean is Sleepless, Mother of Tears, obviously Dark Glasses, Giallo. What's kind of your thoughts on them?
I mean, like most people, I think the consensus, I'm lower on them than his peak work. There's some I like more than others. Like I quite like Sleepless. I think that one hits the mark for me. I did like Dark Glasses a lot more than I thought. Maybe it's because my expectations weren't super high. I thought Giallo was terrible. I could not stand that film. I thought Dracula was maybe even worse.
Phantom of the Opera.
I'm not a huge fan of Phantom of the Opera. What else is there?
Stendhal Syndrome. Do you like that one?
That's one of the ones that a lot of people love, but I can't get into it. I'm not a huge fan of it.
It took me 3 watches with Stendhal for it to click.
I've seen it twice, so maybe third time's the charm. Yeah.
And then I read a bunch
that's in my top 5, Argento.
When we covered the film, so I read a bunch of background information on it. So it was like it changed a lot of things for me. So I don't know.
Interesting.
Yeah. Are you a Deep Red man then? Is that your favorite, would you say?
Oh yeah, I love Deep Red. Deep Red is probably it's like 1A and 1B with Tenebrae as far as like favorite Giallo, which is probably like the most generic answer as far as like those two. But yeah, I saw it actually in the theater here maybe 4 weeks ago. It was just showing about a mile from me. So it was fun. I'd never seen like kind of the extended version apparently, because there was a bunch of scenes like I was like, I've seen this film like 10 times, but I don't remember these films. So these particular scenes. So that was interesting to see. But yeah, I'm a huge Deep Red fan. That one's a 10 out of 10 for me.
Okay.
Yeah. Opera's the one I like the most. Suspiria was my number 1 for a long time.
Suspiria is still my number 1.
Just cracked in front of it.
Which is a generic take as well, but it used to be Tenebrae though. Yeah.
Okay. I mean, if we're tossing in his those films too, I'd say I love Suspiria and Inferno just as much as those Giallos too. So I like Opera. Opera's just barely below those that kind of like top tier for me.
Right. Is he your favorite director then? Argento?
Oh man. I wouldn't say that, but he'd be certainly in contention.
Okay.
I'd say he's probably my favorite of kind of like his contemporaries, like the Italian genre people. Like I like him probably a touch more than Fulci, who I also love, and probably a little bit more than Bava. And
I'm a Bava first, Fulci, then Argento for me.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, like Sergio Martino's up there for me. Probably I'm Argento, Fulci, and then Martino. But I like Lenzi, I like Diodato.
Massimo Dalmano.
Yeah, you've got lesser known directors, which is crazy when you say he's a lesser known. Because Dalmano was superb. That that unofficial Schoolgirl trilogy, which I'm sure we're going to come on to with the next film.
Let me check the chat right quick, y'all.
Man. Yeah.
Just say what's up to everybody. Wild Guys is hey Dirk and Darren and guess. Wild Guys.
Hey, Wild.
What's going on, man? Fat Pig the Conqueror, great name. You know?
Hey, man.
Texas, Hey to the Pound
What's
of
up,
Pain.
Tex? Yeah.
What's going on, man? Yep, everybody's saying hey, and oh yeah, my beautiful wife. Y'all come on in, guys and gals. Press the like button and comment. Welcome our new guests. Yeah, definitely. Magic Hands, what's happening?
What's up, man?
And we got Gourd Guts 77. What's happening,
man? Yeah.
Everybody, man, y'all. I put the link in the description for James's channel, so check his stuff out, man. He knows his stuff when it comes to
any questions for James as well. Just pop in the chat and we'll get to them. But yeah, so that's leading us on to the next one. Calling all police cars. Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, I didn't really have anything else on that one. So.
Oh God, yeah. If you got anything else, James, on the first title, then feel free.
I just have two last things while we're closing up.
Yeah, go for it, man.
I love that opening scene that you pointed out, Darren. But I'm a sucker for the dummy deaths, and there was a great one to open the film, just falling from way up there. So I like that quite a bit. And the last thing I'll add is I really like the use of just the city in this film. Like it just feels very, very urban, very crowded. I like how she's so close to her neighbors, and so somehow she still feels this danger. It's like almost the opposite feeling that you get from like an American slasher or whatever, where you're like out in the woods. Here, it's super dense, but it's still not safe. So I kind of like that sense of urban danger that the director brings to the film too. And just like Paris during that time period, I mean, it's just a great setting.
Yeah, the night shots are great. Man. Of the skyscraper buildings and the lights and everything. Yeah. It's awesome.
And like most of those shots were stolen as well. There's no way they would have been able to pay, the budget would have paid for all those Paris like locations. But
But yeah, man. Does somebody have a synopsis for the next one? Calling All Police Cars, 1975, directed by Mario Caiano. Hopefully I didn't butcher his name.
No, I think you said it right.
I mean, anybody got
James can take it away if he wants.
Yeah. Okay. I don't have a great one.
You don't have to do it word for word. Just do it from memory.
Yeah.
Memory if you want.
Okay.
I mean, I can kind of just say a little something then.
Sure.
I wouldn't try to put you on the spot. My bad. But it's basically, man, it's a lot like Solange, I would say.
Yeah.
It's a lot like Solange and Daughters because you got the whole abortion angle from Solange. It's kind of a little twist, though, on the story, I guess you'd say, because the father of the daughter that's missing, the 16-year-old daughter's missing, he's like a very wealthy surgeon, and he's got a lot of power, a lot of pull. So he's getting all the police to make finding his daughter top priority. And but then it's got the whole underage prostitution ring thing going on with the teenage girls and stuff like Solange does. I will say Antonio Sabato, I'm not a fan. He is bland as shit. Like he's bland as they come, man. In anything I've ever seen him in. The Man with Icy Eyes, 7 Bloodstained Orchids.
Have you seen Gang War in Milan? That's another one.
No, I haven't. No.
Okay. That's one we missed. Yeah, I
don't think I have. Because I always mix that one with the Naples film.
Violent Naples, yeah.
Yeah, Violent Naples. Yeah. But I don't know, man. He just he does a little better job in this one, but not. I mean, imagine like Casanelli in there in that role, or Franco Nero. Give a little more something to it. I don't know, man. He just kind of like he looks annoyed, looks pissed off all the time. The whole movie, and the actress Luciano Paluzzi. I knew her from A Black Veil for Lisa, which she's a great actress, and they don't even barely use her. and it's like, damn, the time you do see her, she's great, but I don't know. It's just
there's a few good actors in this. So when you got Gabriel Fizzetti, and I instantly recognized him from The Psychic. I think he's brilliant. He plays that role in this film superb. You've got Enrico Maria Solano, who's in Bird with Crystal Plumage. I know him better as the father in Night Train Murders because I love that film.
Yeah,
and he's kind of underused, I think, a little bit in this. I think he could have been, he could have been more. Sabato character, they use him a little bit more. But I do actually think Sabato, this is his best performance that I've seen. But I'm kind of with Dirk on that. He is kind of bland. But James, he is in quite a lot of these, isn't he?
I'd agree with that too. I think it's his best that I've seen him in, but that's not saying a whole lot. I hate to just shit on him, but it's just
no. But I've got that. I've recently got that Roberto Curti book that I think James has got as well, and he's in tons of these films. Isn't he, James? Can you remember any offhand? Again, I don't want to put too much on the spot.
Yeah. Gang War in Milan is definitely a good one. Personally, I don't think he's a very good actor either. I find him the most enjoyable when he just hams it up pretty much all the way. And he kind of goes halfway here. It's not my favorite Sabato performance, but I do find him, moderately watchable in this one. He has another great one that's kind of like the Italian Plizio Teschi. It's like the Jason Statham film where he has to keep his heart rate at a certain level. I forget what the film is called, but Sabato. Yeah, Crank. But I forgot what the Italian one is called. I was like, It's Crank, right? But I was worried I was getting it mixed up with something. I'll look up the title while we're talking. But that's another one that I like quite a bit for him. But I would agree with you guys that he's probably kind of certainly not A-list Plizio Teschi material, or maybe even B. He's probably more of kind of like that. We're settling for someone because we couldn't get Franco Nero or someone else. I do like Enrico Maria Salerno quite a bit. I think he has kind of like this certain amount of kind of middle-aged man gravitas that works quite well. He's perfectly believable as kind of like that more authority figure as like a commissioner. So I like him, and Luciana Paluzzi, definitely underused. I agree with that as well. She feels like she's supposed to be kind of like equal footing to the Sabato character, and then all of a sudden she just is out of the film. She has just a few scenes in it.
I didn't understand that at all,
but the main setup of this film is so creepy as well, because the opening shots, you've got this young girl being and I say young girl, I think she's technically 16. But she's being photographed by her father, and there's all these kind of high society,
pervy-looking dudes,
pervy guys watching on and
perving on her, I don't know.
But yeah, her name's Fiorella, and I instantly recognized her from What Have You Done to Your Daughters, which is kind of really go together with this as well, like Dirk said earlier. And it goes to, I think the actress's name is Adriana Falco. And it goes to places where, with her character, we get full frontal nudity of technically a 16-year-old girl, and it doesn't hold back on any of that,
Yeah, she's probably. I'm guessing she's of age, though.
Oh God, I would imagine she was early 20s or something. There's no way they would have gone that route. Being that young. But you got to give it to this film, because I went into this, and it's always, you never hear this talked about as much as say, Solange and the films like that. So I was kind of going in expecting not a great film, to be honest. And whilst it's not as good as those three, Red Wings of Fear as well, it's not far behind for me. I think it's a solid, really sleazy, grimy little film, I love it. I would love to get a proper release of this.
Oh, I would too. I'd definitely buy it for sure.
Imagine this on Blu-ray, man. Vinegar Syndrome or something in the Forgotten Jolly sets would be great. But it's the subject matter is kind of hard to watch at times,
yeah, definitely. It's and it's like I'd say more than half of the film is Plizio Teschi, right?
The first half, I would say.
And then the last 30 minutes is full on giallo. Like,
yeah,
full on kills and yeah.
And it's like they throw it together, but I like the kills. There's a lot going for it.
Yeah.
Really is.
I have a completely unconfirmed theory on that, which is basically that they basically had mapped out the film, they were working on it, and then Deep Red came out, which came out 5 months before this film, and so they kind of cycled in all of these different Giallo elements. Because I agree with you, it's a complete shift, going from almost complete poliziotteschi to Giallo, and then you kind of have like this hybrid format at the end that is somewhat similar to Solange and Daughters. But yeah, it does a good job with kind of that subjective point of view. You get a lot of killer point of view, and you have like 3 or 4 kills just tacked in on the end, some nice little gore shots and things like that. But my theory is that the Deep Red came out at some point, and they're like, okay, we got to add these elements because Giallo is apparently back on the menu.
Very possible. I mean, you're probably right on that.
Yeah.
Actually, just to get some asses in the seats, right?
Yeah. And the film I looked it up is Last Desperate Hours, and it's basically the plot is Sabato is playing a gang boss, and they try to assassinate him, but he ends up bitten by an infected lab rat, so he just has a short time to live, and he has to track down all of his rivals and basically kill them. So that's just like a nice little B movie. Yeah, it's nice. Yeah. I think I got a release somewhat recently too. So Last Desperate Hours, that one I would definitely recommend checking it out.
Okay, cool.
Keep a look at
I always like Rex, man. I'll definitely write that one down. Last Desperate Hours.
Yeah, I mean, you could tell it has just like a great little premise for that sort of film.
Right, with this one as well. So we get the murder of this, young girl. She's found in the lake, with a bike. And then, like you say, it goes into like really nasty sort of territory where we get one of her school girlfriends, she's part of this prostitution racket. And we get the scene where they hold all these kind of, young girls with all these older men.
Yeah,
and
it's
really creepy. Yeah. Carla is the name of her friend. And she's a great actress as well, the girl who played her. And obviously she would have been her age because she does the same full frontal nudity and all that. But yeah, I think this could have been like an unofficial trilogy, like part 3 of the trilogy. If we didn't have had like Rings of Fear, I think it would have fitted in really well with Dallamano's films, because there's still that strong sense of what he's trying to say with the high society, abusing the young and all that.
And even high society, pulling strings for his daughter, whereas maybe a lesser person wouldn't be able to do that.
It's all there,
not a lesser person, but somebody as far as social status.
I mean, a mix with all that, they throw you in some different characters as well, because we've got a few like characters, the ones. I think he's been done for like underage sex or something, or he's crimes against minors and all that. And we get the perverts.
They didn't really act like it was that big a deal.
No, they just.
I was like, what the hell is that shit?
That's got to be a product. That's got to be a product of the time, because they were more interested in his other crimes than they were that.
Like for a second,
I mean,
who wrote that shit?
It's an old cliche, but yeah, you couldn't do this today. There's no way.
I was tripped out on that part. I was like, really?
Yeah, it's just they just hardly mention it basically, but you've got the whole abortion aspect as well. To find out that this pregnant girl, this young girl who's murdered was 3 months pregnant, I believe. So it just gets nastier and nastier the more it goes.
And there's a scene where the chicks, I put it in the intro, where her legs are in the stirrups. Of course, I had to like I couldn't show the whole scene, but I'm assuming that girl was dead. Like, because they carry her off. Like when the inspector comes,
they put her into this side room, don't they? Yeah. Oh God, like,
what the hell?
And that's the whole Solange thing. It puts me in mind of Solange. Right. But then, like you say, it just turns the last third of the film, and you've got POV shots of this person strangling,
the
Black Glove Killer as
well. Yeah, the stalking stuff.
Man. Yeah,
it's really done well.
But yeah, how would you how would you rate this, James, in terms of so say you've got like top tier giallo, middle tier giallo, bottom tier giallo. Would this come kind of halfway for you?
Yeah, I'd say it's middle tier. I think I rated this film a little more highly when I first saw it, just because I think I'd seen this before I'd visited all the Dallamano films. And now that I've seen those films, I'm like, okay, I actually prefer those Dallamano films above this one by a fair bit. But I think there's still a fair amount to enjoy. So I'd say this is probably about mid tier for me. I enjoy watching it the second time, although I think my rating may have come down just a little bit for it. But I do like all the bits it plays with social commentary. A thing I also like about just kind of this era of filmmaking too is just all the dark aspects. This film doesn't hold back its punches. In fact, none of these films pull their punches in a way that I think is really refreshing compared to a lot of like contemporary media that's being released. So I just like it when they're just going to go, yeah, we're gonna go all the way to this very, very dark place. Yeah,
I'd say this one is probably the most graphic of the three that we're talking about today.
Yeah, I couldn't argue with that. Yeah,
and that's another thing I wanted to bring up. I was thinking about it before we started this, and I was like, like the poliziotteschi are a lot like, I guess, any types of films, as far as there's different types of like subgenres in the poliziotteschi. This is more, I would say, police procedural, whereas like something like the film we're going to get into next is nothing like that. It's more action,
right?
Like oriented. This, I don't know. It's and then you got the like giallo has like the sexy giallo. You have the crazy wackadoo giallo. I don't know. I don't really know. I've been thinking about that for a little while though. There's little subgenres of these films in the genres.
Yeah,
go on.
Oh, I was going to say my understanding of this, and this isn't the Curti book, so you can correct me if I'm wrong, Darren, but I believe this is based off of a TV show that had different actors. And my guess is that TV show was definitely a little bit more on the procedural angle. And I think they had like a second season or some sort of spinoff after that that was also more focused on the procedural elements, which is why you have kind of that title, Calling All Police Cars, rather than, I don't know, one of the other titles that you would have had.
Yeah, that TV series was called Qui Squadra Mobile, which is Flying Squad here. And it was kind of successful for 2 seasons. And they think with this film coming out, they did do like another season after this film, like a year later in 1976. So maybe this had a bit of an influence on it. But I think you can get that online. There is someone does put it up on like Facebook, but it's obviously in Italian. So I would still watch it, It's like 2.5 hours, I think the video is. Because I love anything like that, all these Italian crime kind of series and all that. But I did want to mention the final scene in this, which we won't give away, but it's done in a flashback mode. Did you don't have to say who he is, but did you like guess the killer in this one early on, maybe?
No, and that's another thing. I think the film kind of cheats in that way a little bit.
Right?
Like because most giallo, like Gastaldi said, he said, one of the good giallo is you got to see the character at least 50% of the film. Like, you know what I mean? You barely see this guy in the film. You see him a little bit, but not quite as much as you. It's kind of like Friday the 13th, right? I thought that was like a cheap ass, like
the one reminds me of is Iguana with a Tongue of Fire. That killer just comes out of nowhere. We barely see him all the film,
right?
And like, there's no way you can guess.
Cheaping out on it. Like the very first Friday the 13th, Mrs. Voorhees. I mean, you hear about her, but you never see her until the very end. It's like people are like, "Oh, it's the greatest damn movie ever." I'm like, no, actually, it's not a great mystery. It's not, but.
This did do kind of okay though. I think 955,000 lira. I think I think it was on 955 187 450 liras or whatever that is. But apparently it did okay, considering the ickiness of the storyline and that. It did come out under 2 titles. Without Trace was the USA DVD title, and that's like a Maya Communications DVD long out of print. And it was called The Maniac Responsible as well, which kind of gets to the point a little bit. I do like the Call in All Cars.
That's a pretty cool title.
Do you like the Call in All Cars title better though? Because I do. I just think there's something about that.
No, personally, I don't.
No.
No.
Oh, okay.
It kind of reminds me of that old show, that old black and white show, Car 54. Where are you, or something? I don't know.
Right. Yeah.
I don't know. I kind of like that other one you just said. That with the Maniac. What was it?
The Maniac Responsible.
Yeah. I like it. I dig that, man. There ought to be a movie with that title.
But there's a well-known actress I was reading that's in this, like uncredited. Alona Stalla, her name is, and she was soon to become Italia's like major porn star, basically.
Yes, I did see that. Yeah.
Yeah, Circa Colina, I think, Italia's most famous porn star. That was a porn star name.
Yeah,
which is crazy. Yeah.
And then she became a politician and a singer.
Right. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
What a career. What role is she in this, actually? I'm curious.
She played a prostitute.
Yeah.
Okay.
She's
like a really lesson. Yeah.
I'm guessing it's the one that you see in the window before you see the short-haired, curly-haired girl.
That's what I was thinking. Yeah.
Yeah.
That would make sense.
It can only be her, I think. Yeah.
I'm guessing that's her. But yeah, man.
But yeah, just to wrap this this one up. I think James, did you mention earlier it's based on a novel? I think it's Violencia Aroma by Massimo Felsati. That's basically the story to this one that was based upon. But yeah, what's your wrap up your thoughts about this one as well?
About the
about the whole film. How do you feel, and all that.
Yeah, I mean, I would say I overall like the film. I think it works okay as a procedural, and I do like how it kind of amps up the gore and stuff. For me, at least, that last act kind of seals the deal as something that I actually do enjoy. I had originally seen this film just when I was watching a lot of Poliziotteschi's at the time, and so I found it really interesting how it kind of jumped to this other genre at the end. And it was before I'd seen, I think, a lot of different giallos. So now seeing it, I'm like, okay, I think I kind of understand what happened as far as like this, knowing it's kind of part of that trend of these hybrid films of giallos and Poliziotteschi's. But I do like kind of those hybrid films just in general. So I think it just kind of offers enough genre thrills for me to keep me entertained. It doesn't necessarily reinvent the wheel or anything like that, but I'd say overall it's like a perfectly functional Poliziotteschi giallo. There's some nice car work. I don't think like action wise it measures up to either of the other films we're talking about here, but it has enough of that stuff going on that I think for people that are fans of both of these genres, I think they would enjoy it.
Yeah, and I still wouldn't put it over Red Rings of Fear, which Delamano didn't direct, but he did write. But I mean, I enjoy it. It's not a bad watch by no means.
Have you guys seen
surrounding? Oh, go ahead.
I was going to just ask if you guys had seen the Delamano Poliziotteschi Colt 38 Special Squad.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, we've seen that. Yeah,
that's
we actually. I got that set, the Years of Lead.
Yeah,
from Arrow. I think it's in there. I think we reviewed that with Uncle Bill over on Dead Pit. So, but yeah, that's a pretty good one, actually. Yeah.
I've seen 3 of those, that box set. Savage 3 I like a lot. There's like Rabid Dogs is superb. Kind of reminded me a little bit of Almost Human. And for me, like Almost Human is the benchmark in this whole genre. I think that's the top. I
gotta agree. Almost Human's
that ever been beaten for me.
Almost Human's up there. Caliber 9's up there for me too, though.
Really that's a great one too.
I love both of those. They almost occupy, it's kind of like we're talking about like the different kind of categories of Jolly and the different ones of like Poliziotteschi too. They're almost like a little doing different things. Like the Tomas Millian performance in Almost Human just elevates that film to like such a high level. It's just like so sleazy, so nasty. No other Poliziotteschi, I think, makes me feel quite like that. Like that
Yeah,
film.
Lindsay. No, I think Lindsay did his best work in Poliziottesco.
Yeah, I would agree. I think when he's just going full ham, full Lindsay, or we're just going full sleaze, full nastiness, it's kind of when he shines. I don't know if that's a good thing, but I do like it's Poliziotteschi's quite a bit.
It's great. It's great for people like us, I
guess. That's true.
But yeah, man, I guess we can rate them at the end because we didn't rate the first one, so
I think we're all probably about the same on this one, though. Even though, like, it's probably the lesser one out of the three. Yeah. But for me, it's still like a high 7.5 easily. I was surprised because, like I said, I was going into this not expecting too much, to be honest. Maybe that's why I liked it as much as I did. But I think it holds up well with those others, Solange and all them. I think it kind of, it's never going to be as good as them, but it's a good companion piece, I think. Yeah.
I think Sabato, though, I think, I don't mean to keep echoing what I said, but I think everyone around him is better in the film. I just do. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, you could have done with, like you say, like a Testy or, like.
Yeah, I guess they couldn't have, like James said, they couldn't afford nobody probably like for that lead role.
They called Fabio, he didn't answer. They called Claudio Casanelli, he didn't answer either. So you get stuck with Sabato.
Nero, hell no. Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess if Testy had done it, it would have been kind of confusing anyway with the Solange film. So,
I've seen that
but
movie.
he did do Rings of Fear, so I don't know.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, Suspicious Death of a Minor is one we haven't mentioned that it's fits in very logically with those films too.
Definitely.
That's Casanelli.
I remember the first time I seen that, I didn't like it.
I didn't like it.
But I seen it early on, like in watching Giallo, and that second watch though, I was like, oh yeah, this, I just didn't give it a chance. I guess I was expecting other shit, but.
Now that's a lead actor like Casanelli. Yeah. That guy I've never seen do a bad performance. I've seen him do, he's been put in some really bad films.
Yeah.
Like Murder Rock and things like that. But the guy, I've said it on you before, and I'll say it again. The guy would have been an absolute star if he'd have gone to America, and obviously the accident happened and all that. But yeah, that guy would have been an absolute star.
Yeah, man. It's a shame he died so young.
Hands of Steel, I think he was on when he died in a helicopter crash.
Yeah. Which is sad, man. Actually a pretty good film. So he died in Arizona or something like that, if I remember right.
Yeah.
You wouldn't expect. Yeah.
Latino film as well. Yeah.
But yeah, man.
But is there any more though? Sorry, Dick. Is there any more? Because you've mentioned the hybrids with Suspicious Death of a Minor. Can you think of any more that's got the schoolgirl in like peril type films? The only one I can think of is there's one called Assault, which was like a UK kind of like Giallo from 1971, but it's not graphic. You've got schoolgirls getting killed, but it's none of the kind of prostitution ring like graphic or anything like that. But I can't think of any others.
I bet there is. But so many of these films run together in my memory that I'd really have to rack my brain to come up with it. So
we'll have to.
We'll have to pin it down and figure something out.
I'd like to do an overview of them. If we get 6 or 7 of them, there probably is at least 6 or 7, and then do like an overview show would be good. Yeah.
And it's like one of those films is a success, and all of a sudden they're making like 5 to 10 more of them.
Absolutely,
within half a year.
But sorry, Dirk, again to cut you off. Go on.
I was just saying, man. If there's anything else y'all wanted to add to calling out police cars, we can get on to the next one.
No, not that I can think of.
Okay. Yeah, not for me either.
Okay, well, cool. But yeah, I guess we'll take a moment, and if everybody in the chat would be, just take the time out and do a little something, I'm kind of bad at this sometimes, so anyway. Where the hell is my thing at? I'm tripping. Okay. Yeah, just do it. Yeah, just do some of that.
Always joke that loses us in deals, like, you know.
Yeah, I was trying to find the other one, but you know. Yeah, I think I got it right here. This isn't an hour to kill. This is straight blades and hand grenades. So
yeah, hopefully we're gonna try and do a series of this as well.
Yeah.
And we were gonna like say, you know, no pressure on James or anything, but you know, and it wouldn't be like every 2 or 3 weeks or anything. It'd be over an amount of time. If you know, you're welcome to come on and do this regular with us if you want, and it'd be like once every, I don't know, 3 to 6 months or something, you know.
Yeah, no, I love to. For me, the main challenge is, I have an 8-month-old daughter, so just figuring out the different schedules and things like that.
I'm sure. And,
yeah. Is there sound coming through? I don't want to.
A little bit.
I heard a bit of a sound, but it's fine now.
Okay, I'm not sure what's going on, but it sounds like I all of a sudden just entered a construction zone. So if it's a problem, just let me know, and I can try to.
No, it's gone fine now. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's good. But yeah, we'll talk about all that back But yeah, man. So we're getting on to the last one, and the big racket, the Fabio Testi. You know,
yeah, man, this is great.
Enzo Castellari, right?
Yeah.
I guess. Yeah, I hear a little something, but it's okay.
Yeah. Let me.
You're okay.
Okay. If it keeps happening, I'll try to move or something like that.
You got a synopsis, Darren, for this one?
I didn't write one down. I don't know if you just want to like go off memory and that. I don't. Have you got anything, James, to like start us off with?
I think I could probably synopsize this one. I mean, this one you're basically following kind of like this racketeering mob, and so we slowly get introduced to different characters, and we have kind of like this dirty Harry style cop, or at least it eventually kind of goes that way with Fabio Testi. And so eventually it kind of morphs into away from the cop drama into more of like this Dirty Dozen style vigilante thing, where we kind of have a band of people banding together to take revenge against the racketeering mob and kind of this whole conglomerate of criminals. It's a pretty basic story, but I think it works well for kind of the director and what he's going for.
Yeah, extorting people, you know, just basically, real slimy shit going on with these people, man. All these owners of businesses just getting taken advantage of, and you know, I think all this was happening though over there during this time.
Yeah, I think the director touched upon it. That's, you know, as they were making this film, the extortion racket, you know, was coming into play a lot more in Italy. And obviously, you know, the years of lead, this would have been right in the middle. But the gang in this are great. Like, you got the female in there as well, which kind of like, you know, is unique, I think, for any of these.
It kind of tripped me out with that female. She's great too, man. Like when she's on screen, holy shit. We got we do got a question from Sidney Eubanks.
Go on.
He says, if you were a movie director, what direction would you go? Slashers, killing, or psychological? Well,
I think I know what Dirk would pick.
Yeah, I would go probably. I don't know. This is not really a put it in a box kind of thing, but I would be horror, definitely. I would say ambiguous.
I'd say you would go psychological, yeah.
Ambiguous psychological horror. So, but yeah.
I think I'd go full on slashing. I think.
Right.
But
what about James?
Like,
where would you go?
Yeah, James, what would you do?
I would definitely be psychological. That's
Okay.
my preference of those two. Yeah.
I'm starting to get more into like the slower psychological films now as well. More I find since doing this show, like because at one time I was just a slasher fan in general, and then that time when I first saw Tenebrae just kind of changed it for me. But the Giallo is my favorite subgenre now, and it's like not even close. But these films are getting there. You know, the police Teskey films are getting there for me as well. They're like, you know, slashers probably in my
yeah.
Definitely.
But I was going to say with the gang in this, right? So the female, she was actually the girlfriend of Lou Castel, who starred in one of Umberto Lenzi's films with Carol Baker. I'm trying to think which one it was.
Interesting. Also, a bullet for the general. He's like the blonde guy in there. Yeah. Interesting. I didn't know that. Yeah.
And they did actually want him to star in this film. They did ask him, but he never come about. I don't know what role he would have played. I'm guessing it wouldn't have been the testy role. I was saying, I think it might have been actually. I remember reading up. It may have been the testy role, which I don't think would have worked.
No, I feel like Testy. He's not necessarily a super multifaceted actor, but he does exactly what Castellari wants him to do here: be just like this big stud action star. And I think he's just perfectly well suited for that in this film.
Oh yeah, I know he did a ton of stuntman work, and he was in The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. I mean, doing stuntman work in that film, like
crazy.
Holy shit! I mean, I got a few down that I wrote. He was in, of course, Contraband, the Fulci film, which that's the only Policio Tesco Fulci did.
Yeah,
pretty
good one too.
You know, of course, Whatever You've Done to Solange, Red Rings of Fear, For the Apocalypse. I don't know if you've had a chance to see that one.
Yeah, that's a good film.
It's a great one. Yeah. I give that one a 10 out of 10. I know Darren's like, what the heck? Like, but, you know.
I don't know. I was kind of in between with that one. But I'm not a big Western guy anyway. But it's certainly got horror elements in there. Like
that film caught me completely off guard. It was not at all what I expected from like a Joe Fulci Western. But yeah, I actually quite liked it quite a bit the one time I seen it.
But speaking on Westerns, The Big Racket is a lot like a Western in the city. You know, like it really is, man.
Yeah, no, I had that down in my notes as well. I mean, a lot has been said about kind of the Polizio Teschi as sort of the spiritual successor to the Italian spaghetti Western. And I think in the Castellari films, particularly this one, I think you really see that. While some of the stuff is, I think, based on reality, like the racketeering mob, it gets to kind of like this scope and this level that almost feels like a little mythological. And so for me, at least, that kind of blends in really nicely with kind of the Westerns where you kind of have like these almost cartoonish and a little goofy, but really imaginative and well thought out shootouts and stuff that are happening that aren't particularly realistic, but I think they work really well in kind of like this partly imaginary world that Castellari is creating.
Yeah, I think this one gets dark as well really early on with the restaurant guy with his daughter.
Oh, yeah, that guy's great. Y'all got his name?
Renzo Palmer.
Dude, I need to check out more of his films because he's an anchor of this film. He's one of them.
He's like one of those great Italian faces that you'll like once you recognize him, you'll see him in like 10 different things or like.
Right. Yeah. I need to check out his filmography and just go through the scope. But also Vincent Gardenia. How do you say it? Gardenia, I think.
Saying good to me.
The guy plays Pepe.
Yeah.
He's in a Little Shop of Horrors. Death Wish 1 and 2. He's a detective in both of those. I mean, he's a great actor too. But really, this whole cast, everybody in this. The one guy I don't care for too much though. I don't got his name or anything, but the lead British guy, villain. I don't know. He kind of pissed me off a little bit. I'm like, why are they listening to this fucking asshole? Like, I don't know.
the guy that plays Rudy. That was his name, right?
Yeah, the head guy that's controlling all the people.
Yeah. He's like a Castellari regular. He's in a bunch of the different Castellari films. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know. He kind of got on my nerves a little bit. But
I do think the story to this one kind of again blew me away, to be honest. And I've always seen like this is in a lot of like top 10 like Plesetsky film lists for people, and I've always been intrigued by it, but just never like kind of had the time or had the had the excuse to do it for this type thing. This one's great. I mean, all the way through, like there's no kind of like slow points or slow spots or anything. It's just like wall to wall all the way through.
A lot of punishment, a lot of people getting mistreated.
Yeah. I love all the gang stuff. When I say gang stuff, I'm not a big mafia type fan.
Yeah.
But just the punks, I think we get it in some degree as well. But I like all that kind of stuff. But we've got to mention. We're going to mention scenes, right? So, how the hell did he shoot that scene where the car goes over and down the cliff? Man, it is one of the best shots I've ever seen in a film.
You see it. I've seen it several times in these films. Those stuff like similar to that.
But this is done. I think the best I've seen it done.
With Testy flipping.
Yeah.
I'd love to see how that was done.
Actually. Yeah.
I think
I agree with you.
Kind of wheel. What it was, I think he got some kind of wheel, and they kind of jammed Testy into this wheel, and they built it up and what have you. But that's the only little bit I can find out on it. And obviously, just rolled him down, or rolled him over continuously, rotating. Yeah, man, that's the first thing I thought of with this film. That scene is like gold.
Yeah, that's why you cast stuntmen in your as your leads, so you can do crazy stuff like that.
Yeah. Oh yeah, because Testy was like a well-known stuntman at the time as well. He could do a little bit of everything. Plus, he had the kind of looks as well to go with it, which you don't usually see a stuntman. So attractive to women. But yeah, I think he carries the story well. I think his character is superb. It's not just. I find there's like more. It's not just like another Fabio Testi film where he sometimes can play a repetitive character. With this, he kind of got his own thing about him, and it just feels different. So like obviously Solange, he's a teacher, but Contraband, I think he played. Does he play a detective in that?
No, he's in a mafia. He's in the mafia.
Oh, he's in the mafia. Right?
Oh yeah.
So he's like a smuggler, basically.
A smuggler, yeah, that's right.
He plays versatile roles, man, really. And I think this film, what it's communicating, like really, especially for the time, I always try to go back to that time when I'm like try to picture what these people were going through during that time. Like, I think what it's saying is like you might have to get a little cross that line to make some of this shit stop. Like I don't know. I kind of feel that's what he does. Definitely, he's getting he's recruiting all these different bad people, I guess, quote bad to whatever. But
so basically, he's basically committing crimes to actually solve crimes, which is crazy when you think about it.
Fight fire with fire type shit.
Yeah. But the way he gets, again, we're not going to spoil all of it, but the way he gets this little like gang together at the end, oh man. And they've all got revenge. They've all got the revenge on their minds because they've all had a certain thing done to them.
Oh man, the skeet shooter, guy. That's horrible shit that happened to him. The one guy's for hire though, right? The hitman or whatever.
Yeah. I mean, we can mention like the woman gets set on fire. I mean,
and not only set on fire, she gets other things done too.
Oh yes,
pretty rough.
The
daughter though, that scene, I was like, what the shit?
Yeah.
Dude? That's pretty hard.
And we talk about Dario Argento and Aja Argento having kind of a weird relationship. That was his own daughter. Castellari's daughter, and that plays Renzo Palmer's
was it really?
Daughter.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Oh God, that's even in some ways that's even worse than Argento.
That's way worse than what Argento did.
Yeah,
I didn't know that. I didn't read up on that, man. Yeah, that kind of makes it even more creepy. But some of the scenes in it, some of the, like you say, with the woman,
he definitely ramps up the audience to get pissed off. You want all these people to die, when you're watching.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like the vengeance gets ramped for sure.
The way that the guy, the father of the girl as well, he just completely goes badass, doesn't he? Towards
he
the
does.
end.
He's because I think she kills herself after what happens to her.
Yeah, I was gonna say, because at first I didn't realize what happened to her. She obviously gets raped. And I don't think it's mentioned straight away, but then a bit later on in the film, it says she was so traumatized that she commits suicide, which, man, that is some dark stuff, man.
And I love that scene when those guys come back after that happens. Yeah. And then they're like, and he's kind of like just playing the cat and mouse with them in a way. He's just like, they're roughing him up and shit. And he just pulls a gun out and starts killing her. And I was like, hell yeah, man.
Yeah.
You got to get some of them, man.
Yeah, that's super unexpected too. That caught me off guard, even though I've seen this film like 4 or 5 times. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I like how this film just has so much story in it, and it just moves. I mean, this is a little longer than average. It's like longer than your 90-minute runtime or whatever that you're getting usually in these films. But it's like you get introduced to the skeet shooter in the middle of another action scene, and all of a sudden it's just like the next scene. All of a sudden we're seeing his motive for revenge, like the sexual assault on his wife and getting burned to death, and then he's in the gang. I mean, you need nothing else. So it's just very, very efficient. There's no filler there.
Yeah, and it's very bleak too. A bleak ending for the most part. I mean,
yeah,
which a lot of these films are like that. They don't do the happy ending bullshit. Like it's gonna be more closer to reality. I would say, in a way. Like there's some shit that's not. Of course, like you got 100 men against 6 or 7. I mean, let's get real, but it's still fun as hell.
I did like the final shot as well. I'm not gonna spoil it. Don't mention it, but that final shot with Testy, it's like just great, man. And you can see like all this happening in the film is frustration. Sorry, I was just gonna say his frustration. You can tell in that final shot.
I call bullshit though on people that have shit on Testy, man. I don't see it. I never have. I've heard so many different people.
Man, he always delivers everything.
Say that he's not a great actor, But I think, like this, they say his range is limited and all this. Maybe he wasn't a theater, auteur type actor, but I think he's pretty damn solid, man. Ever since I think the first time I seen him was in Solange. He's always done a great job.
That's what I mean. He can play the two. He can play, he's obviously a teacher, like he's in love with a younger girl in that film, but he can play the cop. He can play the bad guy. I think every time you see him on screen, he gives 100%. You can tell. And I'm a bit bewildered about if people say that, he's definitely up there, my top 10, like one of my top 10 Italian kind of action actors. I think he's fantastic.
What would you put this one, Darren? So we've seen some of these action type oriented policios now. How high does this one go? What's that one we saw with? Is it Miranda? Is it Miranda?
Luke Miranda.
Luke Miranda and
I'm trying to think which one it was now.
The police officers, undercover police officers.
I was going to think the
Shoot First, Die Later.
No,
one of the Violent Professionals, is it?
Oh no. Yeah,
he's in the Violent Professionals. I don't think it was that. I've drawn a blank, to be honest.
It might not be Luke Miranda. I always mix Luke Miranda with this other guy. They're undercover police officers, and
I know the film you're on about. I just can't place it. I can see kind of visions of the film,
and they're like on motorcycles and shit.
Yeah.
You know,
it might come to me. It might come to us.
Okay. Anyway, my bad, y'all.
But
I didn't mean to go on a tangent.
No, I would put this. This is high end.
I was just saying that one didn't really work for me like this one does, and they're very similar.
I'll be honest. I'll be completely honest. I've seen a little bit less than Dirk, and I can honestly say there's not one of these Tesco films I dislike. I've liked every single one on different, levels, mind.
Yeah.
And I mean that's going to be broken at some point because you can't all be good. But this ranks really high. I probably like this along the lines of like Caliber 9. It's kind of just not an Almost Human type level, but not far behind, like a strong 8. But yourself,
it does
James,
have some grime.
How would you feel?
It definitely has some grime in this one, for sure.
Yeah. How would you kind of rank this one, James, in terms of all the Police Tasky films you've seen?
I would say for me, this is pretty top tier. I would say, I don't know if it's top 5, but it's very, very close.
I'd say so too, yeah.
Yeah. And for me, at least, this is like one of those that I could pop on at any time. Like this is more rewatchable than something like Almost Human for me. Even though it does go to very dark places, like we've talked about here, there's something about it that is just like a little bit lightened, just maybe by the fact that it's not 100% based on reality. At least that's not how I feel. That makes it so it blunts the blow just enough that I don't feel like I'm watching something terrible happening when I watch this film. So for me, this film, the enjoyability is just really, really high. So I'd say this is probably top 2 or 3 in terms of rewatchability as far as Poliziotteschi's go. Just because like the action and the way that Castellari stages everything is so remarkable. I think he really is kind of like perhaps the best action director of all of the Italian genre directors working kind of at that time. And he's doing like stuff with slow-mo that like reminds a lot of people of like Peckinpah, kind of bridges it between Peckinpah and someone like John Woo in Hong Kong. So I love just like Castellari's hand on this. And I think Casti is the perfect star to play into kind of the film that he's trying to make.
Yeah, that's true though, because it's not so realistic where, some of these scenes could be a little too hard, right?
Yeah.
But
it's fun too. Yeah.
Because you got to have
it's a good time.
Entertainment value. Yeah. I know Castellari actually went on record to say that this was his favorite ending he's ever shot. With the action sequence at the ending, which I was like, quite surprised. But he's another unsung hero, really. You don't really, you got all these people mentioning Argento, Fulci. Like, he doesn't get mentioned at all. If anything, only the likes of us, are really into kind of the genre.
He's well known in Italy, though, for sure.
In Italy, yeah.
Very well.
But I mean, go on. Sorry.
I was going to say, it's kind of funny that he likes that scene. I read that same thing, that he loves that scene. But for me, at least, I don't even know if that's my favorite action scene in the whole film. I love the one that they have at kind of like the train yard and how they're surrounding the people. And then they get surrounded and we get introduced to the skeet shooter. Yeah. And like just everything he's doing with men and slow motion, where we have like stuntmen like getting thrown back and jumping back. I feel like
I was laughing some of those shots, because these guys, it just always cracked me up when I see that. But yeah, that's a fun time. I mean, that train scene is great, the train yard or whatever.
Damn. And then the skeet shooter comes in and you're like, oh, this is just fucking great. It's just
man, this dude
just love to see it. Yeah,
damn sniper, right?
Yeah. It's like, I don't know how I thought of this, but this is a great idea. I mean, and there's something terrible is going to happen to the skeet shooter too at some point, so he can get sucked into this. But you don't think it's going to happen like in the next 2 minutes, but of course it does.
Right.
I mean, you can see why Quentin Tarantino rates this director and all these type of films, because he has ripped off quite a few of them. Yeah. But the score for this film, I'd say personally, I would say I say he's a rip-off, but
because he does his own thing, you know what I mean?
But kind of does, but
like I thought of that film though, Live Like a Cop, Die Like a Man.
You're on about Mark Perel and Ray Lovelock.
That's the Diodato one.
Yeah, when on the motorbikes.
Yeah, that's a really good one. I think I like that one.
I like it, but I don't like it as much as the Big Rocky.
Okay.
Yeah, and they're similar in tone in a way.
Yeah. I was gonna just mention score to this as well by the Angeles brothers. Like, fantastic, man. I could listen to this on a on. I always say on in the background or something. When you want to get in the mood.
That rhythm bass line reminds me of Iron Butterfly. And it got it
right. Yeah.
It reminds me of that. Like, I don't know what.
Some of these, once they get stuck in your head, they're hard to get out.
Right. It's not exactly like it, but it's very close, similar to it.
Yeah, I love it too. And it's nice to see these scores that are doing something a little different than kind of like your standard Morricone scores, which I love as well. But it's just a totally different score than something like the Fear Over the City score, which I also really like. But that's like more of your classic Morricone Poliziotteschi score. Yeah.
Right. So
Sydney says, name some horror movies that are overhyped. People talked about way too much, but you didn't like.
Let James take that one if he wants to.
Well,
I think I'm trying to.
I mean, maybe just because on top of my memory, because you mentioned it, Dirk. But I'm not a huge Friday the 13th guy. It's fine. Yeah, I don't dislike it, but for how much you hear about it, I'm not a huge fan.
Right.
Is that you mean the whole series then, not just the first
one? I mean mostly the first one. There are some I like more than others.
Well, the first one's always regarded as this great mystery horror film, and it's not really. If you break it down, it's weak sauce. It's lazy writing. I don't know. It just gets this hell praise, that it. I don't know, man. I mean, it did a lot for the genre. I guess.
I think it's the best made one. I love all the atmosphere, like in the rain, towards the end of the film. But I do get when you say, the whole mystery element doesn't really work for me.
I mean, if you maybe had the character in the film a little longer,
right, and some of the things that she's supposed to do as well, which is kind of like far-fetched a little bit. The one for me, which Dirk would totally probably go mad, but Hereditary, I just can't. I liked it, but it's just so overhyped for me, and that's Dirk's top 5.
Yeah, it is definitely.
Have you seen Hereditary, James?
I liked it quite a bit when I seen it, but I don't really have a huge desire to rewatch it. So,
Yeah, a lot of the A24s, a lot of people say that they don't want to revisit them, really.
Yeah,
but I would say there's a lot going on. It's a deep layered crazy shit. But anyway, we won't go into a Hereditary thing.
Right. Have you got one you want to mention, Dirk?
I will say probably Pearl.
Ooh.
Because so many people jacked that movie off. And it's like, it's good. It's not a bad movie, but
you liked X more?
Yeah, I'm an X guy.
I'm the same. I preferred X to Pearl by quite a bit. Right. Pearl was disappointing to me too.
I love Pearl. See, have you seen Maxine, James?
I have not yet. No, have you guys?
Yeah. I think Maxine's the weakest of the 3.
Okay,
it is the weakest, but there's not. If you look at the trailer, there's kind of like hints that there's going to be like Giallo Black Gloved element, and there really isn't, to be honest.
No, it's a weak ass.
Without giving, I don't want to give too much away.
It's not a bad movie. The end sucks.
The end is awful. Yeah, and if you watch the first film anyway, you kind of know where it's going without giving too much away. But I was going to say, so Castellari's best films, right? He regards this, I think, or this is regarded as his best film. So there's 3 I want to mention. I want to ask James. I don't know if Dirk has seen. I don't think Dirk has seen them. So what's your thoughts on The Heroin Busters, Inglourious Bastards, and Day of the Cobra? I think I've seen you do something on Day of the Cobra.
I've seen Inglourious Bastards.
That's the only one I've barely seen, I think.
Not the Tarantino one. I've seen
yeah. Heroin Busters I like quite a bit. I mean, I don't know how you guys watch this film, but that film is paired with this one. Sorry, 1 second. Yeah, that film is paired with this one in kind of that Arrow set of the two Blu-rays.
I put it on my wish list last night. Yeah.
Yeah. So that one is, in my opinion, not quite as good as this film, but it's a very good action film. You have Fabio Testi and David Hemming, so like for Deep Red fans, that one also has a fantastic Goblin score when they're kind of like at the peak of their powers. Okay. It's like you look at who Goblin scored around that time, and it's like Deep Red, Suspiria, Dawn of the Dead, and Heroin Busters. So it's obviously the least well-known of those films, but it's a good score, and it's a fun time, and kind of a really nice compliment to this film. I'd say it's more of a action film and a little bit even thinner than this one in terms of plotting and whatnot. But if you go in with appropriate expectations, it's good. Inglourious Bastards, I've only seen it once. I wasn't actually a huge fan. I thought it was fine. But I don't know. Those macaroni combat films for me have been a little hit or miss. It's not been my favorite Italian genre to check out. And what was the third film you mentioned? Day of the Cobra?
Day of the Cobra, yeah, 1980.
Okay. Yeah, that one I enjoyed too. I watched that kind of when I was going through Polizio Teschi's. That one's Nero playing I believe a private detective, and that one's good. Especially, I wouldn't say it's like the top Castellari Polizio Teschi you should check out. I'd say there's probably 3 or 4 others to watch first. But that one's pretty good. One other film I'd mention too that you guys may have seen, may not have, depending on how you feel about spaghettis, is Chioma, which came out the same year as this. So that one I think is a really interesting Western. The soundtrack is extremely divisive on that film, done by the DeAngelis brothers too. But that one's I like that film quite a bit.
That's highly regarded as well. I was reading,
yeah. I actually do want to get more into the spaghetti westerns. Like I've seen a few now, like not as many as I need to, but whatever I saw when I was growing up, like what it was all over the TV. But
I need like with spaghetti westerns, it's just not my westerns in general, not my thing. But I need that one film to maybe spark an interest.
I'm thinking
I have seen Fulton's one.
I was thinking about that too, Darren. So there's a movie that I want to check out, and you might have seen it. I don't know. Ringo, it's Master Time.
Right. So there's 2 Ringo.
It's a Giallo.
Yeah, it's a Giallo Western.
Yeah.
There's 2 of them, I believe.
And there's another one, 4 Bullets for Joe. It's a Spanish Giallo Western.
Right. There's one called Kill the Poker Player.
Yeah.
Have you heard of Kill the Poker Player, James?
Yes, I don't. I remember the name. I don't remember the movie though.
Yeah, I think it might be in one of the Troy Howarth books.
But
there is a subgenre of them.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Go on. No, go on.
I definitely want to check out the Ringo. It's Master Time. I was just reading about it.
A Pistol for Ringo. I think it's the other one as well.
I think it's like 69, 70, somewhere around that time. But I have to check it out.
But have you got any other films you want to recommend, James? Because I know we're fairly new. There's one I heard of called High Crime, which I really want to see.
Yeah.
I'm waiting on getting. I'll be getting that shortly. Is there any in general? I'd date if we've seen most of them, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, from Castellari, I would say kind of the big ones for me at least are Big Racket for sure. High Crime is definitely one worth checking out. Kind of the 2 sacred texts that you'll see mentioned the most for kind of these Polizio Teschi and the influence are kind of the American films Dirty Harry and French Connection. That one in particular is inspired a lot by French Connection. You have Fernando Rey is playing a character there too. So kind of that French Connection to High Crime. And the other one is one that's kind of been marketed as, I think, a sequel to Death Wish or related to Death Wish, Street Law. That's more of like your vigilante film. That one also, High Crime and Street Law both star Franco Nero. That one's also a great action vessel. I would say the action in Big Racket probably beats the action in both of those films, but you can definitely see a lot of kind of the Castellari trademarks there. I think the way he stages action is very unique. A lot of the other films focused a lot more on like car stunts, and he'll have some good car stunts too, but his usage of slow-mo, and things like that, I think is really interesting and definitely stands out if you see enough of his films. I think his action films are in particular very good.
Awesome. Well, we'll have to do is get together sometime down the line and maybe pick another 3 and we'll do episode 2. And again, I'm happy as long as, and I know Dirk is probably, to let James, pick another 3 because I think you smashed it with these ones tonight. These are going to be high on my list now. These are going to be regular watches for me, I think. And to get 3 in a row as well, which is kind of surprising. There's always maybe one you don't like. But with these, and this is ideal if you want to go into your ratings as well. But I think we will probably stand the same with the ratings.
I did want to mention there's a Henry Silva that's a lot like Death Wish. I can't think of the name of it though, and
it's a Lindsay film, Manhunt in the City, I think.
That's it.
Oh, that's one I want to see as well. There's so many.
I love that one, man. Henry Silva not playing the bad guy. That's good shit.
He was great in Cry of the Prostitute. We did.
Oh yeah, that one's so sleazy.
Yeah. Oh man, some of them. Yeah. Like I say, we dipped our toe in a little bit. There's so many other ones.
One I'd say probably the worst one I've seen has got to be Rico the Mean Machine.
Yeah.
I didn't like it either. Yeah, that one has quite a reputation, but I don't know.
It's okay.
Kind of nasty. Yeah.
That lead.
I think it's well known for that. It's that one scene with Barbara Boucher when she's on the bonnet of the car.
Yeah.
That is what that film's well known for.
Right.
But maybe that you're right to say that because maybe there is one I didn't like then because I wasn't a big fan of that.
Rico was just not.
I didn't like the Robert Mitchum's son, Chris Mitchum, I think it is, plays the lead.
Yeah.
I think horrible actor, like in my opinion. Like he didn't come across. He was doing all these karate chops and all this, and it just
not his dad.
Realistic.
Yeah, exactly. He looks like his dad, but he has about 2% of the charisma.
And he's like a hippie in the film as well. He's got the long hair.
Yeah, if you guys ever want to see some real deep cuts, he starred in a series of I think it's Indonesian action films where they just, if you think they're doing dangerous stunts in these films, you should see what they're doing in Indonesia at that time. They're just blowing up everything. I feel like they blew up half the country, and they just brought over Chris Mitchum to star for God knows what reason. It's like, how did this happen? It's like, how did these films ever get made?
Wow. Yeah.
But I was gonna say one interesting counterfactual just before we totally leave is I don't know, you guys may have ran into this in your research, but Castellari was originally supposed to direct Zombie Flesh Eaters, the Fulci film.
Yep.
Yeah.
We just did a versus stream, and which I think I'd heard that a while back anyway, but it's fresh on the mind because he turned it down. Also, Lindsay was offered and he said he turned it down too. So,
which is that Lindsay is more believable, but imagining Castellari's style on that film, it would have been just totally different.
Yeah, man.
He's the one that gave it to Fulci, wasn't he? He's the one who actually, said, "Look, I don't want to do it. You're welcome to do it." And Fulci was pretty much short of money at the time, and he needed something because the Psychic he'd just come off like a year or two before, which was really didn't do very well, to be honest. But obviously, you've got the Giallo films, the Pisteschi films. Are there any other genres you like? Do you like all kinds of genres of films, James, or just horror in general?
I do. Yeah, I would say even more than horror, like crime films are kind of like my comfort food. Yeah. So that's why I kind of watched Poliziotteschi's before Jolly, even though more people know about the Jolly. I watch a lot of films, especially from other countries too. So I'm a big fan of Hong Kong films and Japanese films too. So those are kind of like my holy trinity of cult films, those 3 places. So
have you been into these genre films, like the Italian genre films, very long? Has it been like, I don't know, a few years, or it's been even longer than 10 years maybe?
Oh, not longer than 10 years, probably 5-6 years at this point. Okay. So, I mean, I'm not super new to them, but I haven't been watching these films since my childhood or anything like that. So,
but obviously you're a lot younger than us too as well. So
I look younger than I am. I'm in my late 30s, but yes.
Oh wow. But I mean, that's still young compared to me, to be honest. But it's always nice to see younger people getting into these films as well. And there's quite a lot now on YouTube, you know, in their 30s or even 20s, I've seen at some point. And it's refreshing that all these directors are getting, you know, getting views and all that. And with the internet as well, you know, things just blow up. And the only like real bad point about it is a lot of them died before they realized you know, how well their films were regarded, you know, and that's the only bad thing. And we're getting to a point now where all these kind of high-end like actors are kind of they're probably dead or they're getting there, you know, they're way up in age. But that's why we do this. We're trying to keep the love for Giallo, and I love your channel as well. Trying to keep it all going and keep it like people, you know, getting to watch these films because no one else is talking about them. Right. There's us, there's yourself, there's a handful, there's some good ones, you know, there's a handful on YouTube, not that many really, half a dozen or so that I see that, you know, got good content and all that. But no, this is it. This is why we do this, for the love and keep the word going out, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. It's been a lot of fun. Yeah, just talking about these different films. I mean, who else am I going to talk about Big Racket, Fear Over the City, and Calling All Police Cars with?
Yeah, man. And do you got anything coming up on your channel in the works, or something you want to mention, or?
You know, just check it out. I'll just be kind of consistently releasing a couple of videos here and there. I think I've done a couple of videos recently. I tend to pre-record and just slowly release them. But I've released a couple of videos on Damiano Damiani, who I think is one of those unsung Poliziotteschi directors. That's almost if you want to go the opposite direction, leaning more into social commentary and that type of thing with him. I think, he's definitely a worthy director that gets a little bit less covered because he's a little bit less in the genre than people like, I don't know, Fulci or Sergio Martino, someone like that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we'll be covering one of his films next week.
Oh, really?
And it's a pretty big one.
It's not what you think. Yeah.
Oh, Amityville. Maybe his oddest film that he did.
Yeah. But we'll cover that on Dead Pit. We got a new show, Eurocrypt. So it's basically Italian horror type stuff. Like
we're going to keep the giallos for this channel. Probably the Italian crime films as well for this channel.
And the Policio, yeah.
But the whole concept of that new podcast we're doing is we're trying to get people who are not into Italian films to like check them out. So hopefully we're going to get like a different guest on every week, or, you know, if we can, or every 2 weeks, I think we're doing it. So yeah, we'll see how that goes. But that's going to just be like Italian zombie films. And
are you in any Italian Gothic at all, or no?
I like some of the films. I like the Bava films, obviously, like Black Sunday and things like that. I would say it's a little bit of a lesser love than Giallo films in particular. But I do like a handful of them.
Okay. Well, man, I was glad to have you on. Glad you came on.
Yeah, absolutely.
Finally got it worked out. Hopefully we can get you back on, you know.
Yeah, let me know. I'm happy to pop back on. Yeah. As long as we can work out that timing.
Thanks again, Seamus Dirk. Thanks for coming on, man. I mean, in the next month or a couple of months or whatever, get your brain going and come up with 3 others, and we'll sort something out, and we'll obviously give you enough time to, we'll work out where all 3 of us are available and all that. But it doesn't have to be any time soon. There's no pressure or anything like that. We can do this at, like, I don't know, 3 to 6 months time or whatever, and we can do it quite regular, hopefully. After
the Wild Guy says, I think it's pretty awesome that the chick who played Alex in High Tension is starring in a major movie with Johnny Depp. Okay.
I am new about
that. Guest looks 20. Makes my 51 feel old. Wow, guys.
Well, I'm closer to 51 than 20, so.
Right. And the Wild Guy says channel link and name, and I put that in the description. And it's actually on the thumbnail too. Italian Poliziotteschi and Gialli reviews, right?
Yep.
I believe I got there. He's got a longer name than we do.
Yep.
Like, people get so tongue twisted with our damn name all the time. Like,
have you got any more podcasts in the work with Film to Film? I don't want to. I know it's coming up to time to let you go. I'm not going to keep you too long.
Oh yeah, yeah. We are trying to record. We both had our wives both had kids in the last year, so
okay.
We're working on a little bit of a reduced schedule, but we're trying to do it every month. In reality, it's been kind of every other month, but we hope to keep it going. I mean, my friend Iñaki, I was actually just at his 1-year-old's birthday a few hours ago. But nice. He likes to focus on the South American films. He's Chilean. And then I like to bring on, I mean, it's my chance to kind of do what you guys are talking about, like introduce someone that's totally unfamiliar with the world to like the cinema that I love, which is like Italian genre films or even like these wild action films from Hong Kong in the 1980s, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Right. So go and check that out. You know, I've subscribed, so I get every time you're doing it, like a show, it comes up on my feed. Yeah, man, this has been awesome guest. It's good to because there's not many of us around, like we say, so we've got to stick together, haven't we? You know, and kind of do these chats and what have you. But awesome, man. Thanks for coming on.
Yeah, thank you both. I really enjoyed it.
We'll get out of here, and if you ever need us to come on your channel, man, we'll do that too. Anytime.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Sure. Yeah, I'd have to figure out how that works, but yeah, no, I mean, this live stream seemed easy enough, so.
Yeah, it's pretty easy. I remember the first stream, I was like nervous as hell on my first one, you know, but now it's like, you know, brushing my teeth or something, you know. But yeah, man. So I guess we'll get out of here. Thanks everybody in the chat. We got a couple more comments. Hold on. We got the Dan the Man.
Oh, Dan. Hey, Dan.
From Dead End Drive-In and Flesh Wound Features. What's going on, man? Jumping on late? Yeah, check it out, man. And like I said, I got James's channel in the description. Everybody sub up and check his stuff out, man. I think you'll be highly impressed. So, but yeah, Fat Pig, later. We're gonna get out of here, man, and appreciate everybody.
Have a good one, guys.
I'm still kind of bad at doing the exits. I got everything all twisted around. All right. See y'all later. Take it easy.
Bye, guys.